What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Cannonballs podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Dane Cannon. Co-hosting with me today is
your boy, Jake Bulls on the mic. 1, 2.
Guys, we got a great episode for you today. We're going to be doing our power rankings heading into week 17. So 16 weeks already gone. You know, we're heading into the last 2 games of the season, then we're going right into playoffs. So we're going to give you our power rankings. And if you stay tuned for the end of the episode, we'll be doing Thursday night preview. We do it every week when we do our power rankings episode. We've already done our recap. Yeah, if you remember, we've already done our recap of week 16. So go ahead and check that one out. Also, guys, just like, comment, subscribe. You know, anything you can do to help us out, we greatly appreciate. Give us a follow on our Instagram at cannonballs_podcast. Jake, do you have anything to say before we get going?
No, not too much change this week in my power rankings. Maybe like a spot here or there, like one spot higher. Then there was really only one team that jumped up a lot, but we'll get to it when we get there. So I'll just kick it off. At 32, I still have the Texans. You know, even though they played upset, beat the Titans, they still have the worst record in the NFL. They still have the number 1 seed, the number 1 overall pick. And just, I mean, the defense is playing really good. I think that's been the strength of that team all year. But yeah, I mean, even though they won a division opponent, might have ruined their playoff chances. Still got to keep them at 32.
So I alluded to this in our week 16 recap episode. I torched a team, and there is a little bit of bias in here. I do realize that, but I got the Denver Broncos at 32. You just get blown out 50-something to 14. Your head coach is now fired. You're stuck with Russell Wilson, who's throwing interceptions left and right. I don't care how good the defense has been all season. I think this team has just given up at this point. Like, maybe they'll play hard next week or this coming week because they got their head coach fired. Maybe they just didn't like Nathaniel Hackett, but I have Denver at 32. I moved them down.
Right on. Yeah, at 31, I have Denver. Everything you said, I agree with. Just, call it quits at this point. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the offseason. But, like, I know I just was kind of talking out of my ass on our last episode, but I saw a little developing story that D'Amico Ryans is going to be the one of the candidates for the Denver Broncos. So that should be interesting. Yeah, I mean, they got blown out by the Rams. The Rams, dude. So sorry, Denver, you deserve. And the worst part about it is you have no first-round picks.
Yeah, so we'll see where Denver goes from here. At 31, this is where I have Indianapolis. I have them moving down just 1 spot. I had Denver moving down 5, by the way. But I have Indy at 31. They just look terrible. I mean, Chargers can't really do anything offensively. I think Indianapolis's defense is kind of like Denver. The defense is what's kind of being the glue to hold them somewhat together, even though it's a rocky ship. But yeah, Indianapolis's offense is terrible. It's beat up. It's not going anywhere. At 30, this is where I have Houston. I just have them moving up 2 spots. I thought they've played competitively the last 3 weeks in a row. And, they finally pulled together a win against a division opponent. So I think that was worth something. So I have them moving up 2 spots.
At 30, I got the Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, I mean, not pretty at all. This is a bad team. I've been lower on them than I think you have. But, I mean, they're down to the 3rd-string quarterback. They're missing their best offensive player, and who hasn't really, done a whole lot this year. The offensive line is just not gelling. They have Jeff Saturday as a coach. So, yeah, this is a bad team. They do have some defensive players, but, I mean, the defense can only hold for so long. So, yeah, I got the Colts at 30. At 29, moving down 1 spot, I have the Chicago Bears. Yeah, they've been playing these last 2, the Eagles and the Bills, pretty decently. But, they're still not that great of a team. I'm just really the biggest takeaway from this season is, I did see a jump for Justin Fields. So that's probably the biggest win for that organization. And I think they kind of know what he's good at, and hopefully in the offseason and through the draft, they can help the guy out a little bit. So I got the Bears at 29.
At 29, this is where I have Arizona. I just have them staying put. Tough loss. Cliff's going to be leaving. JJ's going to be leaving. You got problems with Kyler, apparently, with his attitude. So this team's kind of in shambles right now, unfortunately. Maybe if they get a good head coach, he can kind of bring this team together, kind of draft well. So we'll see. But yeah, I got Arizona at 29. At 28, even though this team lost, I have them moving up 3 spots just because I think they played better football than some of these teams lower than them, and that's the Chicago Bears. They played a good half of football, and you could honestly mix and match any of these teams, in my opinion. They're all equally bad in their own rights, and they're all equally good in their own rights. Respectively speaking, I think they all do some things well, and I think they all do a lot of things poorly. So I have Chicago at 28.
Couldn't agree with you more. At 28, I have the Atlanta Falcons. This game's kind of this team, I think they were just like, playoffs, we're not ready for playoffs. Let's give the rookie a shot. The Marcus Mariota experiment, unfortunately, didn't work out again. They have pieces on this team. It's just, is Desmond Ridder the answer? I have no idea. Too much of a sample size. They love to run the ball. They have some offensive weapons. Kyle Pitts. They did have Calvin Ridley. Who do they have? Drake London. So they got some good young talent. We'll see if they can piece things together. But who did they just lose to again? They lost to the Ravens?
Yeah, they lost to the Ravens.
Yeah, so, personally, I think the Ravens are a beatable team, but, you got to have some playmakers, and unfortunately for the Falcons, I don't think they, stepped up. I don't think they were willing to or ready to step up. And then at 27, moving down 1 spot, I have the Arizona Cardinals. Just a lot of injuries. A lot of people are going to be leaving. It's just pretty much with 2 of the NFC West teams, if it could go wrong, it did. And, losing your franchise quarterback, even though he wasn't playing that well, losing your franchise top-notch wide receiver for 6 games, the suspect play calling, the constant injuries to the O-line, constant injuries to defensive players. It's just, and I just don't think they're a good enough team to overcome that right now. Yeah. So I got the Cardinals at 27.
Alrighty, at 27, this is where I have Atlanta. I have them moving down 3 spots in my power rankings. Desmond Ridder looked better, but I don't know how much of an answer he's going to be long-term for this team. We will see when it's all said and done, but Atlanta does some things well. They do a lot of things poorly. They started off a lot scrappier at the beginning of the season, but they've kind of just slowed down. They've just tapered off. At 26, this is where I have Cleveland. I actually have Cleveland dropping 6 spots. That was a must-win game. They needed that in any kind of hope to make playoffs. They kind of pissed it away. I think next year they'll probably be a lot better. Deshaun Watson getting a full off season to prepare, not dealing with legal repercussions, all that stuff. I think Cleveland will be fine next year. They still got Nick Chubb. They got a good running game. Cleveland at 26.
Right on. I like it. At 26, I have the Los Angeles Rams moving up 3 spots. Huge primetime win for them. Granted, it was against the Broncos, but the interesting thing is I don't know about now, but it was a top 3 defense, and they got torched by the Baker Mayfield, Cooper Cup-less Los Angeles Rams. And Cam Akers 8. It's pretty interesting, his story, because he started the season. They were thinking he was going to get traded, or actually, how did he start? He had some poor games, and then he wanted to get traded, and then he was on the trading block, and you know what? He's still on the team. So, pretty interesting story with Cam Akers, but big win for the Rams. I think they can definitely, look to the future. We'll see. I Me personally, I have a feeling this team's just going to go into total rebuild, and um, it makes me wonder if McVay and Donald are going to want to stay there. So, I mean, they might, maybe they're just loyal to that team, but we'll see. We'll see. So, yeah, I got the Rams at 26. And then 25, moving down 4 spots, I have the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, like you said, it was a must-win game. They lost to a mediocre Saints defense. I think they should have beat them. And definitely, I think they're out of playoffs now, right?
They're just Cleveland, I think, actually is eliminated from playoffs. Let me double check just so I can give you a accurate fact.
Sure.
Yeah, they are eliminated. Cleveland is out of the playoffs.
Yeah, so I mean, they definitely have pieces on this team. They have solid defensive players. They have probably one of the best running backs in the NFL. And before all these incidents with Deshaun Watson was right up there with Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen wasn't even developed yet. It was Deshaun Watson and Pat Mahomes. So say what you want about all the off the field things, but this dude is a talented quarterback, and as far as football, I think he'll be fine. So I got the Browns at 25.
All right, at 25, this is where I have the Las Vegas Raiders. I have them dropping 6 spots. They blow another lead in the fourth quarter. They just continue to piss away the season. I like this offense. Defense has playmakers wherever it needs. But they are definitely missing pieces. I think that they could have a lot better cornerback room, maybe offensive line, definitely. But, I just got them torched. 6 spots. Can't piss away that game. It's a must-win in hopes of keeping your playoffs alive. Still a slight percentage, but very minimal. At 24, this is where I have the Rams. I have them moving up 4 spots. Absolutely blew the fucking doors off of the Denver defense. Did whatever they needed to. I mean, granted, this was a Denver team that's pretty much given up, but, they look good doing it. So Rams at 24.
Hey, that's their Super Bowl. That's how they ran it back. At 24, dropping 4 spots, 2 ugly losses in a row. I got the New England Patriots. I don't like this team. I think they're probably one of my least liked teams in the NFL. And it's not because, Tom Brady's not even there. I get Belichick is like the GOAT of coaches. Like, okay, but it's not even that. It's just, I don't know. There's just nothing exciting about them. Yeah, they're vanilla as hell, especially on offense. Yeah, they have probably like a top 10 defense, but it's just so boring to watch them play. And again, this is just self-inflicted wounds again. They had a chance to beat the Bengals, and they pissed it away. So that's 2 in a row for the New England Patriots. But, yep. And at 23, I have the New Orleans Saints moving up 2 spots.
At 23 as well.
Right on. Yeah, I still think this is a mediocre team, but they beat another mediocre team. I think that game could have honestly went in either way. But, the Saints have pieces. It's not really going together. They need that glue. And, sorry, hold on 1 second. Let me finish. They have pieces. I guess they're still technically fighting for a defense or a playoff spot, but I think they need to find something at quarterback because
Andy Dalton ain't it.
Yeah. But yep.
Yeah, I'll just chime in a little bit here. As for New Orleans, I do think that Andy Dalton is somewhat serviceable in the role of the quarterback position, but I do think that they need a bigger playmaker. I know that they were dealing with injuries. This defense stepped up when they needed to. They're right there in contention with winning the NFC South. So we'll see if they can win these next 2 games and if Tampa Bay loses one or however it goes down. But yeah, New Orleans, that was a must-needed win to keep their playoff hopes alive. So good for New Orleans. At 22, this is where I have Carolina. I have Carolina moving up 3 spots as well.
I also have Carolina at 22, moving up 2 spots.
Yeah, it was an impressive win against Detroit. They were at home, so I do kind of think that played a little bit of a factor in the win against Detroit, but their rushing attack just decimated and destroyed this Detroit Lions defense. They had 2 players rush for over 120 yards apiece. I think Deontay Foreman rushed for 165 yards, and Chuba Hubbard rushed for 125, which is absolutely ridiculous when you're rushing for damn near 300 yards. That's impressive. Rushing for 300 yards is awesome. Sam Darnold didn't have to do too much. He did what he needed to. And this Carolina's Panthers defense is playing really well. J.C. Horn's looking good. I believe, what is his name? Derek Brown. God damn. It's been a while since I've looked at this roster just because it's been pretty mediocre for the most part until near the end.
Brian Burns. Actually, J.C. Horn looked really good in this last game.
Yeah, he's definitely stepped up as a good cornerback. But yeah, Brian Burns had a hell of a game as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I got the Panthers here at 22. They beat a almost too hot to handle to look at team. I think besides the Niners, this is probably the second hottest team in the NFL. And they came in, they smacked them. They legit smacked them, and they just imposed their will on the Detroit Lions. And, out of the 3 legit teams, I would say, for that NFC South, the Falcons, the Saints, Bucks, and the Panthers, I personally would not want to see the Panthers.
I think positive for sure.
Yeah. I mean, they're just so hard to predict, and they definitely have players on, both sides of the ball. If DJ Moore can ever step up consistently, he'd be a top 10 wide receiver. But it's just, bad quarterback play, and, him just kind of disappearing. But they have a run game. They have good defensive players. So, I mean, give it a couple years before this team's an actual powerhouse. But, they could definitely sneak into playoffs this year.
All righty. Who you got at 21, Jake?
All right. 21. Unfortunately, I had to torch them. It was just kind of, I think they have like 3 or 4 losses in a row. And it's mainly due to the quarterback, but I got the New York Jets at 21.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to, pretend like this is a good team right now, the way the quarterback is playing. And it's just the quarterback. They got Garrett Wilson, they got they got a nice little wide receiver core. They have some, running back depth. They have a good defense. It's just the quarterback, really, for me. And I think out of all the teams in the NFL, the quarterback play is the most detrimental to the Jets. Like, when they have good quarterback play, they look like a playoff team. When they have shit quarterback play, they look like a bottom 5 team.
I'd agree with that.
Unfortunately, I'm rooting for the Jets. Robert Saleh coming out of San Francisco, but it's just going to be interesting to see what happens with the whole situation there with the quarterbacks.
All right, I like it. At 21, this is another team that had a really piping hot season during part of the season, but they've just fallen off. I have Seattle Seahawks at 21. I have them dropping 3 spots in my power rankings. Unfortunately, this defense has just been not living up to where they were in October and at the beginning of November. They've kind of just simmered down. This is more of like the Seattle team that I think we were expecting at the beginning of the season. So they outperformed and outmet expectations at the beginning of the season or near the beginning of the season. And now they're kind of coming back to reality where we thought they would be. I still think Geno Smith's playing, pretty quality, pretty good football. Kenneth Walker looks good again. But I think that it's just going to take a little time for this younger defensive class that they drafted, who had a good month or month and a half to keep it going throughout an entire season. I think they got a little burnout. They dealt with some injuries as well in this team. So, Seattle, I think, is a team to be hopeful for of the future. I don't know what they will do if they make playoffs this year, but, watch out. Maybe they could do something. Seattle at 21. And at 20, this is where I have Pittsburgh. I have Pittsburgh moving up 3 spots for a last-minute victory.
I also have Pittsburgh at 20.
Nice. Yeah, I don't have too much else to say. I think Mike Tomlin's a good coach.
Yeah.
This team's playing hard, and they're fighting to make playoffs.
I mean, that's the best thing about this team is the coaching. They play for Mike Tomlin. If not, obviously they still have a chance to make playoffs. But I think honestly, the most important thing is they're trying to get to that 500 or above 500 record. They don't want to be the team that lets Coach Tomlin down. And I love Tomlin as a coach, man. Like, he's probably top 5 for me. He's just, ever since he's been in the league, he's just done nothing but excel. But and even the quarterback play has been good with Kenny Pickett. Just keep him healthy because Mr. Trubisky. But they have weapons on this team on both sides of the ball. So I think they need a little bit.
I think they need a little bit better of an offensive line to help Najee Harris in the running game. But, Deontay Johnson's really stepped up. George Pickens looks great. Frying Ruth is a good tight end, and he's still young. So this is a young team. They got a lot of young players and young talent. So I think let it develop, and we'll see. Hopefully Kenny Pickett is a quarterback who can take them to the playoffs and, win a game. But we'll see. That's what I got to say. Who got at 19?
At 19, dropping 2 spots, I have the Raiders. I didn't want to drop them too low. I still think they have elite weapons on offense, pretty decent defense at times, or at least they have players step up at times. But the Raiders are just going to Raider, piss games away. I think you said their playoff hopes are done. I keep forgetting.
I think the Raiders still have a very minuscule chance of making it to the playoffs.
Yeah, and
they're still in it.
It's just an interesting conversation because how long do you wait to show that Derek Carr isn't the guy?
I think this could possibly be his last year.
Well, didn't he sign a contract? Didn't he sign a 3-year contract?
I say fuck it. I don't know, man. Whoa.
It's like he's probably the best quarterback on the market because Derek Carr does show glimmers of hope, where he just looks really, really good. But then he has games like this week or this last week where he throws 3 interceptions, and he's been the cause of a lot of losses for the Raiders. So I don't know. Yeah. I like Derek Carr. I don't know if he's if I feel like if they get an opportunity to upgrade, I think the Raiders take the chance.
I think that they could too. They could possibly be in contention for drafting a quarterback in this year's draft and maybe having Derek Carr develop him for at least a year.
Interesting. All right.
But for me, I just want to preface this really quick. Every team that I had 19 to, I believe, 12 from last week all lost. So there will be some...
Did they really?
Yeah, in my power rankings, they all lost. All my middle teams lost. So it's going to be a little bit interesting. Most of them only moved 1 spot, but that's just because there's going to be one team in particular that kind of moves up. And it's mostly just because of where everyone else fell because it's kind of weird. Anyway, 19, I have Tampa Bay. I have them moving up 3 spots. Good win against the Cardinals.
You have them at 18 or 19?
19.
Okay.
Tampa Bay at 19. Good win. They needed it. Wasn't pretty. None of their wins have necessarily been pretty. But yeah, a win's a win. They're leading the NFC South, so good for them. At 18, this is where I have Washington. I think they put up a good fight with the 49ers for a good amount of time. But, eventually the 49er defense just got to them. And unfortunately, they weren't talented enough to overcome the adversity that they face because I don't think any team's really talented enough to deal with this 49ers defense. So Washington put up a fight, but they just couldn't compete. So I had them drop in 1 spot to 18.
All right. At 18, moving up 5 spots, kind of a lot, but they're still firmly in the first place. I got the Tampa Bay Bucks. Like you said, a win's a win. They control their own destiny. They just need to win out. But I think it's just going to be another early exit for them. like you said, nothing has looked good for the Bucks. Maybe like one half, like when they played the Bengals, they actually looked like an explosive offense. But yeah, man, they are mediocre as hell. But at 17, dropping 2 spots, I have the Titans. I mean, this is what, 4 or 5 in a row? 4?
5, I believe. I think this is their 5th loss in a row.
The only reason I didn't drop them lower is just because they're still right there for the AFC South. I mean, they have the same record as the Jags. But, I mean, personally, I think the Jags look a lot better than the Titans right now.
I agree.
Again, it's just, it comes back to what we talked about in the offseason. Just the one-dimensional is dimensional and
one-dimensionalism.
Yeah, thank you. They're just, you know what they're going to do. And sometimes you can't stop it because Derrick Henry is an animal. But I don't know. So, yeah, I got the Titans at 17.
Alrighty, at 17, this is where I have New England. I only have them dropping 1 spot. Probably could have dropped them more, but they looked good in the second half against Cincinnati. They just looked terrible in the first half. New England's still right there, though, in the hunt, fighting for that 7th seed. So we will see. At 16, this is where I have Tennessee. I would have dropped them lower as well, but like I already mentioned earlier, everyone from 19 to 12 lost in my power ranking, so I can't drop too many teams. And there's one team that moved up a bunch, which you'll see. Tennessee is on a 5-game losing streak, but like Jake already alluded to and mentioned, is they have the same record as the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags just have the tiebreaker right now, but they play the Jags last game of the season. So if they can get a little bit healthier, who knows? Maybe they can finally turn this season around and go into playoffs with a 2-game winning streak. So we'll see. Tennessee at 16.
All right, at 16, I have the Seattle Seahawks staying put. They played a good Chiefs team, and they got smacked. They're still in playoff contention, but just been very lukewarm these last couple weeks. I think they're like on a 3 or 4 game losing streak. Started off so hot, but definitely simmered down. So can't say I'm too mad about it. But I got the Seahawks at 16. At 15, pretty big jump. Moving up 4 spots, I have the Green Bay Packers. Geez, man, they beat a good Dolphins team, and I think they are a good team. They've just been on the side of losing these last couple games. They've been playing really good teams, and the Packers did good. They kept it close. They were able to stop them at times, create turnovers. They can only contain Waddle and Tyreek Hill for so long, but they won the game, and that's what's most important. And they're in the driver's seat for that 7th seed as well. So just got to win out. But I got the Packers at 15.
All right, at 15, this is where I have the New York Jets. Honestly, my Jets and your Seattle are like neck and neck. Like, we just have them flip-flopped because I think you had the Jets at 21 and I had Seattle. And then I think you had Seattle at 15 and I had New York, right?
Yep.
So we're the exact opposite. I mean, these teams are very similar. I think they both have 7-8 records. They're both in like a very similar predicament, except one's a quarterback. The other is just like, I would say the defense side of the ball is mostly to blame. But, they're right in the thick of things. I think that they could possibly turn it around if Mike White comes back healthy and helps his team out. So we will see. 14, this is where I have Green Bay. This is a team that I was talking about that I moved up a bunch. I have Green Bay moving up 7 spots. They're on a winning streak. They've really turned this offense around, who was scoring freaking 10 points against Detroit's defense a couple weeks ago. And now they're scoring, over 24 points a game, I think the last 4 weeks, which is impressive to see. Christian Watson, I think, really brought out the best in this offense. Unfortunately, he did get injured. Was it a serious injury, Jake?
I think it was like, I don't remember. I think it was like a hamstring or a concussion.
All right, we'll look it up later. But Green Bay definitely trending in the right direction. Hopefully, Aaron Jones isn't too bad either. Green Bay at 14.
My turn.
Yeah.
14. Oh, all right. 14. I have the Commanders moving down 1 spot. They played a really good Niners team. It was a playoff matchup for both teams, and both teams got to see where they're at. I still think Commanders have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. It's again quarterback play for me. I like Taylor Heineke a lot. I do, but it's just I don't think he's elite. I definitely think he's like a gunslinger who can just upset your team every once in a while. But and then Carson Wentz is not the answer. So we'll see about what the Commanders do to address that. But I still like the pieces on the Commanders defense, and they're still at the number 7. So good for them. And then at 13, moving down one spot, I have the Giants.
I have the Giants at 13 as well.
Nice. Good. I mean, they fought hard against the Vikings. The game could have gone either way. And I think the Giants are still in playoffs. I think they're 6, right?
I believe so. I think they're 8, 6, and 1, so I believe they are.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Giants have pieces. It needs to gel. And, I think they'll be fine. I think whatchamacallit's been playing a lot better this year.
Daniel Jones.
Yes, thank you. Daniel Jones. And, Saquon is back, so, it's awesome seeing him healthy. But, I got the Giants at 13.
Yep, I have the Giants at 13 as well. I think the defense has stepped up a little bit. Kayvon Thibodeau has been unreal. Offense has been looking better. So, unfortunately, they needed that win, but they're still in playoffs, so let's not freak out yet. At 12, this is where I have Miami. I have Miami moving down one spot. That was a tough loss to Green Bay. They definitely needed it because now they're just one game ahead of the other AFC teams that are in the hunt. They currently hold the 7th seed, but they are on a losing streak. Tua is possibly out with another concussion, and if he is in concussion protocol and they find out that he is positive for having a concussion, he should sit the rest of the season, if not the rest of his career. That will have been, 3 concussions in one single season? That's not good. And 2 of them were serious. So don't give this dude at this point. You have 3 concussions in one season. Is that CTE definitively? CTE, unfortunately. He's going through so much bell ringing that is just unfortunate for the Dolphins offense. I would have dropped them more, but Tua getting injured definitely plays a factor. Miami 12.
All right. We got 11.
Who do you have at 12? Who do you have at 12?
Oh, my fault.
Did you do 12?
Nah, I haven't done 12. Sorry, guys. Still dealing with my food poisoning, so I'm kind of out of it, but I'll make it through. All right, so at 12, I really hate to drop this team, but I got the Lions dropping 4 spots. That was just a must-win against a beatable team. And if it was closer, I mean, I'd be a little bit less nervous, but they got smacked, man. They got exposed, at least on the defensive side of the ball. Defensive side of the ball. I mean, I still think this offense is explosive as hell. It's probably one of the, behind the Dolphins, probably one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. Just so much speed everywhere. But man, you got to win that game. You got to win that game. It's just very unfortunate because now their backs are against the wall. We'll see what they can do. But I got the Lions at 12.
All right, who you got at 11?
Yeah, and then 11, I have the Dolphins. Yeah.
So how about this? Let's switch because I have the Detroit Lions at 11 and I had Miami at 12. So,
nice.
Yeah, I'll just feed off of what you were saying about Detroit. It was a very winnable game. They needed to win that game, but they're still right there. They still have a chance to make playoffs, so hopefully they can win out and get in. At 10, this is where I have Jacksonville. I have Jacksonville moving up 2 spots.
So do I.
Nice.
Moving up 4 spots for me.
Yeah, Jacksonville has just been playing out of their minds recently. Doug Peterson is really turning this team around. It took a little bit of time, I think, for this team to figure out their identity and get the scheme intact. They had good games here and there, like when they played the Chargers, they blew them out. And then they had games where they looked like the worst team in the NFL, where it was like, what happened to this team? But Trevor Lawrence has really stepped up. This team looks good. Defense is playing well. Offense is just firing on all cylinders. So Jags at 10.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said, I would say the same. Just the only thing is the kind of the inconsistencies. Like they will have a dominant win and then get blown out. So hopefully it's later in the season and they figured that out because they're gonna need to win these last two games or at least one of them, or a lot of luck to go their way. All right. So at number 9, moving up 2 spots, I got the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, I mean, they're staying afloat without Lamar. It's definitely a different offense without Lamar, but the defense is kind of carrying them. They like to run the ball, which is cool. So, excuse me. And hopefully Lamar comes back for playoffs. But Ravens at number 9.
I'm right there with you. I have the Baltimore Ravens at 9 as well. I didn't move them at all, mostly because of the team that they played. I'm not ecstatic. I'm not impressed too terribly much by this offense. Hopefully, like you already said, once Lamar comes back, it changes this perspective that I have on this team. But this defense is keeping them together. I'm just a little nervous what they will do in playoffs once they get there. At number 8, this is where I have the Chargers. I have them moving up 2 spots.
Same. Moving up 1.
Yeah, I have them moving up just 2 spots. Chargers at 8. Good defense. They've been playing much better on the defensive side of the ball the last 3 weeks. Offense has been struggling, mostly due to coaching, in my opinion. But, I think if they can put together a good offensive performance and the defense keeps playing at the level they will, or they have been the last 3 weeks, then this team could be dangerous in the playoffs. So good for the Chargers.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see the Chargers defense stepping up after all those injuries. But I'm here for it. And hopefully they just open the playbook come playoff time for Jay Herbs because, he's got a cannon, man. Let him throw it. Let him be special. But that's the only thing that worries me about this team. The injuries, but you guys got, people coming back, which is awesome, which is perfect for playoffs. That's what you want. And then just the kind of the lacklusterness of the offense. But I have a feeling they'll figure it out. And then at number 7, I have them moving down 1 spot just because away a team won, but I have the Minnesota Vikings at number 7. And, it was a hard-fought win. They like to have those close games. They are, man, are they 12-2?
12-2 or 12-3.
I think they have 3 losses. Yeah.
I think they're 12-3.
Yeah, so the defense definitely stepped up a little bit. This last game, Justin Jefferson, he's just elite. Kirk Cousins, hopefully keeps playing. He's playing pretty decently. It's just, again, I say it every week when I talk about the Vikings. The 3 blemishes on this team's record, and just the fact that they can't blow out any teams. I'm not saying blow out every team, but give me 1. Give me 2 blowouts. We'll see come playoff time. But good for the Vikings.
All right, at 7, I'm just going to be up front. 7 through 4, I kept the same because there's only one team in my top 7 that lost, and it was my number 1 team. So at 7, it's Dallas. They had a good game against the Philadelphia Eagles. They did play against Gardner Minshew, so there is a slight chance it would have been better with Jalen Hurts, but I think Gardner Minshew played a hell of a game for the Eagles. But yeah, Dallas's defense stepped up when they needed to. Micah Parsons was great. Dak was great. CeeDee was great. Running game got going a little bit, but can't move them up because everyone else in front of them won as well. So I'm just going to go 6 through 4, Jake, if that's cool with you. 6, I have Minnesota. Close win, but they won again. 61-yard field goal, not easy to do, so good for Minnesota. 5, Cincinnati. Cincinnati is red hot, but they need to play all the way through, in my opinion. They kind of pissed away the second half. And 4, I have Kansas City. Kansas City does Kansas City things. They handled the Seahawks, but, I can't put them above the top 3 because I think their defense isn't nearly as good as the top 3 defenses.
Yeah. All right. So at number 6, I have the Cowboys moving up 1 spot. They didn't have Jalen Hurts, but it's just a big win. That's a big win for them. It's a huge win for them. And, Gardner Minshew they didn't miss a beat with Gardner Minshew. So I mean, that's just good for the defense, holding them down, and then good for the Eagles offense for, keeping pace with the Cowboys. And I'll just do a couple more because my next three didn't change as well. So number 5, we got the Bengals. Again, ugly way to win, but a win's a win. So this team is just weird. They just have some off games sometimes, but they're still a good team. So, yep. And then number 4, I got the Chiefs staying put. Like you said, they beat Seattle. Not too hard of a matchup, I guess, for the Chiefs. And then number 3, I got the Bills. I mean, they played close with the Chicago Bears, but they prevailed in the end. This team also just hasn't been. They haven't looked like as dominant. Like, they don't look like the Eagles when I watch the Bills play. The first 6 weeks of the season, the Bills were just like, oh my god, this team's winning the Super Bowl. But there's how many games are there? 18. 17?
18 weeks, 17 games, yeah.
Yeah, so there's 17 games. You got to do it throughout the whole season. So, yeah, I got the Bills at 3.
All right, at 3, this is where I have Philly. This is the only team that I really moved until 3-2-1. But, yeah, Philly, I just have them dropping 2 spots. They lost a tough, close one to Dallas, division matchup. Unfortunately, Jalen Hurts was injured. Jalen Hurts was hurt. But, Gardner Minshew didn't miss a beat, kept things going. So who knows? Maybe they would have lost regardless. But that's a tough division matchup. Should have won that game, and I think they would have sealed their number 1 seed if they won that game, correct?
Probably. Yeah.
All right. Either way, Philly, great team. Defense gave up a decent amount of yards and points. They have these games every once in a while, so hopefully they just play like they've been playing for the most part during the entirety of the season. I mean, they have the best record in all of football right now. It's a good team. And at 2, I have Buffalo. Just having them moving up 1 spot. Like you already said, Jake, they haven't looked as dominant, but, they are winning games, and I think the defense is getting healthier and playing a little bit better. And I think a lot of this is going to come down to Josh Allen. I think he needs to play like he used to in the beginning of the season, but he's still looking good. Nothing to wait. And then obviously your boys are at number 1 for me. They are just the most dominant team, even with Brock Purdy. Purdy looks pretty, man.
Yep. I got Eagles at 2, moving down 1 spot. And then I got the Niners 1, moving up 1 spot. Yeah, man. I mean, there's not a lot to not love about the 49ers. I mean, they do it on both sides of the ball. They're doing it with a 3rd-string quarterback. They have everything. So it's just going to be come playoff time. Is it going to, are these teams in the top 14? Are they going to step up? We'll see. Anything can happen in playoffs. Upsets always happen. And, so we'll see. But the 49ers have just been chugging along. Brock Purdy looks good. He doesn't look like...
He doesn't look like a rookie. He looks like he's a seasoned vet who's done this for quite some time.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the best way I could have said it. I mean, it's like, what the hell? This is your first year? So we'll see. But, that is our power rankings.
All right, guys. So if you made it this far, this is where we are going to just quickly touch on Thursday night for Week 17. As soon as we're done with this, we will be done with the episode, guys. But starting off the week for Week 17, 2 weeks left, guys. And started off, we have what probably would have been a much better game, but unfortunately one of these teams is very beat up and dealing with a lot of issues. So we have the Dallas Cowboys traveling to Tennessee to play the Titans. Titans are just dealing with a shit ton of injuries, so I'm not going to overthink this one too much. I'm going to give this one to the Cowboys. They're just a better team, in my opinion. They're healthier. They got a better defense. Well, actually, Tennessee's defense is good, but they got a much better offense right now. They're not one-dimensional. They got 2 great running backs. If Dak plays well, they got a great receiving core to back him up. So give me Dallas. Yeah,
even when healthy, full health, 100% health, nobody on the injury report, I think the Cowboys are the better team. So, yeah, not going to complicate it. Give me the Cowboys.
All right, guys. Both of us for the Cowboys. We got to wrap this one up. Jake is dealing with these tummy issues. Jake, I'm sorry, buddy. We got one more to record tonight, but I love you. Let's get through this. Like, comment, subscribe, guys. Follow us on our Instagram, Cannonballs with a Z _podcast. Jake, you have anything to say before we leave?
Yep. Thanks for listening. And as always, peace.